Hi, this is Charles with a quick introduction to how to use Wargameroom.com to play Maneuver. You can play online against an opponent. You can play against yourself, running two instances of the same program, which is a great way to solo the game, kind of learn it, and see what the actions of the game are. You go to Wargameroom.com, you go to Downloads, and you'll look for a copy of Internet Maneuver. You'll see that here, and you'll download that to your desktop or wherever you'd like. And that will save a zipped file which you can extract out, and I'll show you which files you use to start the program. Now if you're looking to play online, you just go in and you type your name, and then some people like to type the name of the program, a short little three-letter initial, so you can tell people what game you're looking for, and you'll meet people here, and you can talk back and forth, see what kind of games you can hook up with people. But we're looking for a game of Maneuver here. And so you'll talk to them and you'll exchange information as far as the IP address is the main thing that you'll need to connect. Now, there's two things that are needed here. One is the server, or the person hosting the program. They have to open up some ports on their firewall. But if someone else is hosting, basically all you have to do is launch this little client and connect to their machine, and since they're hosting, you'll be able to connect to them. So you'll open up that file we downloaded, and we will extract it by right-clicking on it and unzipping it. And if you're running Windows XP, you'll open this file, and if you're running Windows 7, you'll run this file. Now the host, the person who's opened up their firewall, will have to open up the ports, like I said. And then for this instance, we're going to just play it solo, play with ourselves, so we don't have to worry about any firewall rules. So we're going to go on a new game. Will be the server. We just click OK. We'll take a note of that number right there. And then if we wanted to play against somebody on the internet or play solo, we're going to open up this window, new game, in the client. So the first person that starts the game is the server, and the second person is the client. So if you're playing yourself, it's basically the same thing, server, client. So when you connect, you'll have two different windows open. And it'll ask you what side you want to play. And then the other window will become active when it's their turn. And I know this is a bit confusing since it is we're doing this solo. The other person will play Great Britain. So just till we get past the basic mechanics of the game, I'm going to move the second window to the side here and concentrate on France. So we're going to change the magnification level to like 75 so we can see our units a little better. We can try different levels to match our screen here. And then we look down the right hand side, and these are the cards that were dealt to us at the beginning of the game. So we can reposition these units just by clicking on them and click on a new place. And then when we're done, we'll click on End Setup. Then the other player will have the same question asked of them. And that window's for the other one, so we're going to drag that to the side here. And now the game begins. So again, looking at the right hand side here, we can see where the unit is, D2 and B2. We can see the attack strength, defense strength. You'll notice this one doesn't have an attack, so we can't use that for an attack. But it can do bombards. Bombards are at a range of 2, and you can't go through cities, but everything else, some things block line of sight. So without getting too far ahead of myself, the first thing you do is discard your cards. So you take a look at these cards and see if there's any you want to discard. So if you want to discard something, just click it. It'll highlight in red and just click enter. If you make a mistake, just click quit and it'll go back to the last thing, save point, and we'll click continue without selecting. So we've got a unit in E2 that we have a card for. Now you can move any one of these units, but to do attacks you have to have a card. So we're going to try to get this unit up into the defensive terrain of that mountain there. So we're going to move him on up. There's nobody within range of combat, so there's no playable cards at this point. There's a redoubt phase where you can add restore a reduced unit, or you can add redoubts on to a +3 for the terrain. But we don't have any of those cards. And now it's the opponent's turn. And you notice you see down here at the bottom, it shows the Great Britain guy discarded 3 cards and drew 3 cards. Next he'll select a unit to move, place where he wants to move, and he'll switch back to your turn. So if there's an action that's required or some sort of reaction to something that he's doing, this will pop up and ask you to do something. So now we're looking at discards again. We're not going to discard anything. And we will move this guy up to this mountain here. So he's moving up. Let's move up some help here. Okay, we have no cards that we want to discard. We've got some nice leaders here. If you're ever confused of what a card does, you can always right-click in that area, and it'll give you a list of what that card does. But for the most part, they're very clear. Now, the skirmish cards, withdrawal cards, they might cause a little confusion, and those have nice explanations when you right-click on that area. So we're not going to discard any cards. We can move any one of these units. So D2, B2, so let's get that guy up there. Nothing to do with combat yet. And now the British guy's going to play. So at the very beginning, there's a lot of moving going on, not a lot of combat, because most people, units aren't in range yet, but you're trying to plan for some nice attacks here. So the British guy is trying to take advantage of those hills, which will give him a nice benefit. So this 4th, which is an E4, we're going to try to get him up into that city. So that British unit has to decide if he wants to, he's in D6, so we don't have any cards for him. We'll still take the city to get the defense of it. Okay, so now we're going to try to take that town if we can. We don't want to discard any cards. We've got a nice combat card here. This will add 5 onto the combat. This will add 3. So the sequence of play is it would do the discards, which we're going to skip for that. We have to move a unit. So we'll move this guy here. And then now we select a card to initiate an attack because we are within range to do something here. So we're going to attack with the 4th here. He doesn't do an attack. He does a bombard. And a bombard is up to a range of 2. He rolls a 1d10. This guy's in a town. It gets a benefit of 6 plus 3 for the town. It's very unlikely that we can knock him out, but we're going to try it. So we rolled a 7 and we missed. And you'll see the details here. let's see, we are in E5. We still don't have a card for that. We really haven't done much with our cards. We do have these Dutch Belgiums here, so let's move him up to here. And let's attack with the Dutch Belgiums. There's a 1d10. And so he's at a base of 5 plus a d10 roll attacking our cavalry in the woods. So he doesn't have a very good chance. So we won't even bother playing any defensive cards. Now we could add 5 to the combat here, add 3 to the combat here. And the guard cavalry, is it grand cavalry? B5. We do have a card here. We could play defensive 4, but we could hold on to that and attack him back in just a second. So let's just skip that, let him do his attack, and oh, it looks like we have to retreat or take a step loss. So he rolled pretty good on that. So let's take a step loss. So let's return the favor here. Alright, so we want to attack with this grand cavalry here. Then the opponent gets his chance to play his defensive cards, but he doesn't have any. So he'll click OK. And then now we're going to add on the... we're going to save this one because this is a good one. He can command 2 units. So we're going to add these 2 together plus the attack of the die roll for the card. And that will be... we have a choice of add the extra units. So we're going to add these 2. And we eliminated that unit. And so you can scroll through here and see the details. And so now a unit has to advance, and we're going to take these stronger guys and let those guys advance into the section here. So we're going to select the card to restore a reduced unit, and we can do this Devo. We can rally this guy, but I think we're okay. So we'll just continue without selecting. He's not in any immediate danger unless those guys move out, the King's Dragoons. So let's move the King's Dragoons up. Let's see if we can have some fun here. So we're going to attack that weakened unit. The other player is going to select a 2d8 attack. You see that down here. And then you have the option of playing a defensive card. So we've got combat, adds 5 here, which I hate to waste that card. But I don't want to lose that unit. And even with that, we will have to retreat. Because if we take another step loss, we're dead. So he'll get a pursuit roll, which is automatic. Unfortunately, he failed the pursuit roll. So now we look at the cards for the next turn. Let's get him out of there until we can get him healed. Now we have a force march card, so let's right click and see what it says. And so we won't play it this turn. So we have the Guard Cavalry, Grand Cavalry, B2. And we can play this card to restore that reduced unit. We can play a restore or a regroup card. So let's restore that guy. So D5. So B5. Okay, we've got a King's Dragoons. They're going to attack. These guys are going to attack here. So so they don't have an attack card, but they have a bombard. Oh lordy, that's a hit. So there's no defensive cards with bombards. Basically, it's just a roll of a d10, and if it hits that unit is flipped. So the goal of the game is to eliminate 5 units, or get across the middle there and take control of territory. Now, as long as a unit is not close to you, it's considered uncontested territory. So if I had a unit here, I would have control of this hex and this hex. This hex is contested by that one. So the more in the open you are, the more victory points you get. So you'll have to take a look at the rule book to see exactly how the victory points work. But it's a pretty cool little system. The end of the day happens when the decks run out, and you'll notice on the right hand side it'll show you how many cards are left in the deck and how many cards you've played, how long you've taken to play each turn and stuff like that. So when each player runs out of their cards, it's considered the end of the day. Maneuver's a great game. It's got 8 different armies, so there's a lot of replayability. There's a whole bunch of maps here with different layouts that you can do. You can flip any one of these any one of 4 ways and lay them in any one of 4 patterns here. So a lot of different combinations you can try. Just a very good, fun, light game that plays in about 2 hours once you get to know the rules. And I think after you play this a couple of times, you have a really good feel of what you can and can't do for the game. And the Wargameroom module is very, very good. So I hope you enjoyed the quick demonstration of how to use Wargameroom. Download the program, and you can run 2 instances to play a solo game against yourself, or you can play against somebody online.